Hello, Dr. Go Millions, Marek Good in your 12:45 p.m. ISTM 310 class, and here I'm just presenting you my WordPress website. So let's get straight into it, starting from the top right now. Oh, also I got my colored tee on. I was just at mustard. That'd look good for you. You're welcome. So starting off, we got our very first requirement here, and it's making sure that WordPress is running on Amazon Linux right here. So if I go into, by the way, I'm in the EC2 services right here for Amazon, for the AWS services right here. And I went to instances, and down here in the details, you can see I am running on Amazon Linux right here. And here's the platform details right here. So luckily my instance is running. As you can see up here, the instance state is running. 2 out of 2 checks passed. Things have been going well, and that's good. Moving on past this now, I actually already preempted some of this input stuff for you right here. So here for the connection portion of this, the purpose of this is basically just to make sure that WordPress can actually be compatible like through the EC2 instance. And throughout this, I had to install Apache, MariaDB, and PHP, which is the coding language, just to make sure that I'm able to run WordPress and I'm able to do everything that I can do. So as you can see here, I enabled MariaDB, which is just MariaDB is just like a MySQL relational database, so I can have all my information on my system well and connected right here. I enabled MariaDB and I started it, and then here's just some of the databases to show you. Then after that, I left MariaDB and I came down here just to make sure and show that WordPress is active right here and it is operating on my EC2 instance, which is great. So that's working just fine. And then moving on through this, now we can actually move into my website itself right here. So here's my new and improved Jasper's Lawn Care website. I'm extremely proud of this right here. As you can see, this is the theme I chose. I think I mentioned this in the last video. It's called Neve, Neve. Very professional, nice, clean looking business platform for a website right here. Look, I even added a quote from Jasper Green himself. If I assumed what he looked like, this would probably be him right here. So decided to go with that. Wonderful quote from Jasper, as you can see. So getting straight into some of the other requirements right here. Making sure this website is available in multiple languages, that is a big deal, obviously, considering that people that are going to be using this website might not all speak English or might not have English as their first language. So up here, I have this little tab right here that I can go down. I can choose other languages. So if I were to go to Spanish, for instance, look, it automatically translates everything into Spanish right here. I don't even want to attempt to pronounce that. I took 3 years of Spanish in high school and I'm still garbage at it. So here, I'm going to give you some of the back end stuff right here. If I go into my dashboard and whatnot, I use something called G-Translate. Let me find where it's at. So G-Translate right here is just a Google Translate output right here. And I made this to where I can include a bunch of different languages. I can include a ton more, but I just chose the most simple ones for our test right here and with some of the more common languages that you'll see. So as you can see, French, German, Italian, Russian, Spanish, English, Chinese. And the widget look, I chose the drop down with the flags. I thought it looked pretty good up here and it's not like too difficult to see. And it's up here at the top right. So before a user has to operate or go anywhere else on my website, they can immediately change the language and make sure that like they can understand everything that they're reading, which I think is a super helpful perk to this. Moving on past this right here, I know that we were required to show some of the testimonials of happy customers. So right here and up here, we have some tabs of stuff right here. Also, I hope you like this little green accent I added. See, whenever I hover over it, things turn green and they get underlined. So it shows, kind of has like a nice little like lawn vibe to it, with yard and whatnot. So if I go over here to reviews, I can see some wonderful testimonials from Jane Doe, who Jasper's been serving since August of 2021 right here. Here I got a wonderful quote and an actual picture of the awesome lawn and some of the flourishing nature that she provided. Down here I got John Smith, also who we've been servicing since 2022, and another quote from him in his beautiful backyard. And then these are just some of the popular testimonials, but down here I wanted to make sure that I added like some other comments that people do, and people can even leave replies on my thing and post comments themselves so they can add more views. And maybe I can even update this testimonial page later on once we get more customers that are loving Jasper's services right here. Moving beyond this now, I want to make sure that the website provided descriptions of the services we offered. So over here, we have the services tab. Here, I decided to do like a very art gallery type approach right here. So we have like the traditional services, which is like typical lawn maintenance. We got a nice simple photo on mulching flower beds with little descriptions just to describe it. And then going beyond the traditional services that a lawn and yard company would serve, we have some of the more seasonal services that you mentioned in the case, like treating pests, applying fertilizer, turf aeration, planting trees and shrubs and whatnot. And then throughout this, we have just a couple quick, easy, brief descriptions so these people can look at these services in a nice gallery format right here so they can see what we offer, and then they can actually schedule these services themselves. So beyond the services that we offer, we want to make sure that the customers that are using this website are actually able to schedule an appointment. That's obviously a big deal. So if you come over here to schedule and payment, this covers both the last two things. So here's just a simple scheduling platform I used throughout this. This was definitely like a little bit difficult trying to get a schedule thing, because also since we're using a free form of WordPress, it was kind of hard finding some plugins that I feel like really showed everything that I wanted to do, going down to a T of like the time slots that are available on certain days and whatnot, and all the services they offered. So the one that I found that I thought was wonderful, actually it took me a while, but it was web of booking right here. So here's what like the back end would kind of look like. Right here I have appearance services, and here I created my own service called appraisal, and this is where I created all like the time gaps of 30 minutes because that's how long Jasper takes on his durations. And I was able to set like available bookings, and then the time frames and the days that Jasper is able to go check these things out. So let's just come in here and schedule a service. So appraisal, that's the service that we're selecting. It automatically bumps you down each time, which I think is a really nice flowing thing for people to use, very easy to use. Date, today is the 22nd now, I guess. Nope, today's the 21st. And since that time slot's done, it automatically puts to the 22nd, which is a cool thing right here. But let's just say I were to schedule an appointment for Tuesday, for instance. Here we go. We have book an appointment on or after these days. So I want to look after Tuesday, actually. So I'll leave Tuesday open, and then we'll search some of the time slots right here. So for Tuesday, April 25th, 2023, no one's booked an appointment. Here's the time slots that Jasper's available, considering that he's available from 4 to 6 p.m. on Monday through Friday. These are the 30-minute time blocks that Jasper is able to do. So let's just say this customer, for instance, wanted to book an appointment right here. They can book their appointment here and include all their information right here. So here's me actually scheduling a thing. Let's just say our wonderful homie, John Smith, that left us such an awesome testimony, decided to come in here and actually leave an appointment himself. He could, johnsmith@gmail.com, let's do that. And random phone number. He can actually book his appointment then, and now his appointment's all booked and ready to go. And right below this appointment, that's when the actual payment processing comes in. But before I get into payment, I just wanted to show you the back end of what the services kind of look like. So now if I go back into the back end of this, which is like my dashboard, but only I can see, I can go to web of booking and I can go to appointments. And as you can see here, I did give a test run earlier, by the way, which was this one, if I'm not mistaken. But it shows the type of service, which is appraisal. It shows the time, the place is booked, and the name, and his email, his phone number, and any comments that he would have chosen to leave. And then here's him booking it. So that means I'm able to actually see on the back end of the website like that this person did schedule this appointment, and I'm able to notify, or Jasper is able to be notified so he can actually respond to this appointment and do this himself. Web booking has been extremely helpful. And unfortunately, I wanted to do pricing. I'm going to get into this, but I wanted to do pricing directly tied to Webba, but you need the upgraded premium version. So this is where I get to this portion right here, where I actually found another plugin, which was super helpful, where you can include all your information and then even add a credit card number down here and then send it in. And the one I used for this was called Forminator, which is another plugin right here. So here's the Forminator dashboard right here. Over here, I was able to create a form. I called it appraisal payment. And then here I can view the stats of like if people submitted any payments and whatnot. And then I actually did connect this to Stripe using API test codes, interestingly enough. I did not want to give my social security number, so I'm just using the test stuff right now. So Forminator was actually super helpful, and it actually, sorry, and it ended up working really well for me. So people can actually like leave payments here, and luckily this works directly after they schedule their appointments. So once they schedule it, they pay for it, and then on the back end, Jasper is able to approve this and then come visit the home and visit the property and actually be able to serve and do his services. So now that I've showed you all the requirements, I'm just going to go to some like the reflection questions that we have here. And for the first question, you're asking like, what was the hardest part of this? This whole page right here was by far the hardest part, in my opinion, like easily the hardest part. First of all, finding like a good booking plugin was really difficult. I think this is also considering that like I wanted to make sure everything was free. They obviously don't have the best free plugins, but there are some really good ones that will suffice at least, and that's what I was able to find. So finding a good plugin to find the schedule was really difficult for me because I actually deleted probably 3 or 4 different appointment plugins that I thought were going to work, but ended up not, because one trouble that I kept noticing was that on the non-premium versions of a lot of the other ones, I wasn't able to specify time frames for certain days. I could choose the days I wanted to be available and then time frames, but considering the case you gave us, Saturday is his time availability is a lot different than Monday through Friday. I wasn't able to customize that, but now in this one I actually am able to. As you can see right here, if I wanted to do Saturday, it starts at 8 a.m. right here, which is, it goes from 8 to 3 on Saturday, which is awesome. So once I found Webba, that made it so much easier. But then once I finally thought I like did it right and I was all good to go, I noticed that the cost or paying for it as a whole was then served to be super difficult right here, because Webba needed a premium upgrade in order to actually schedule something and pay for it directly. So I had to use a whole separate plugin. So it's not as good as I would like it to be, if I'm being completely frank, but that's all I was able to do on a free basis. So I feel like if I was able to use money and actually apply for subscriptions, if this is like my own website, I would definitely be willing to spend the money. So this could be a much better interface. So this served to be a pretty hard part. But one thing I learned from accomplishing this is that you can actually leverage multiple plugins with each other and they can still work really well together, which I thought was super interesting, rather than having to do everything on just one perfect plugin. I was able to use 2 different ones and they still work well together, which is great. Going beyond this, the most unexpected part of the project and what made it interesting to me, this was definitely a pretty unexpected part. I think one thing that I was like using WordPress as a whole was like, it took me so long to figure out like how to actually use the interface. It ended up being so simple, which I loved. But like at first I was so confused. Like for instance, here, I'll just customize it for you right now. If I were to come edit this page, let me go back to this. If I were to come in and like edit a page, I didn't quite understand like how blocks worked and like that the plus sign that's like on the right and stuff, or whenever, if I could get it to show up or something. But all that, like, I didn't really understand how that worked, but then I realized like how helpful those blocks like truly were and whatnot, and that like they offered like almost everything, which I thought was wonderful. Like over here, if I were to go to like, I don't know, let's just say I go to reviews or something, for actually no, services, where it showed me the most. Services, I was like having so much trouble like formatting it, making it look good, because I tried to use everything that was already like the previous theme. I tried to keep all the photos and whatnot in the same order. And then once I got to like where I had to add my own photos and add more blocks and stuff, I couldn't figure out. But then once I realized like how helpful like using like the WordPress blocks over here, just adding and then adding a block that I needed, once I started browsing through and just kind of started playing around with it and started figuring it out myself, it ended up becoming so easy. So that was really unexpected at first, because I thought this was going to be pain in my butt, not gonna lie, and it ended up actually being really interesting how simple WordPress really is once you get going. Beyond this, my favorite part of the project as a whole and like why I loved it, I'd say, let me go back to this. I'd say my favorite part, I don't know, my favorite part, like I think the homepage looks really awesome, honestly. My favorite part as a whole was it just coming all together, obviously. But I think the homepage gave me so like little stress that like that was the first thing I did. And then once I did that, it really gave me a good like ground foundation. It's kind of like for people who are like learning an instrument, for instance. Once you learn that first song, you're kind of like on cloud nine. Like you feel like you can do it all now. Like you finally have that one little ground base like foundation where like you know you can at least do this. So it makes you feel good and you're more confident in doing the rest of it. That's what the homepage offered me. The homepage was just so easy like to get set up. And that's partially on me for like honestly choosing like a really good theme. I got really blessed and I got a really good theme because a good theme like made it to where like I didn't even have to like change some of these emblems and stuff. I just kind of changed the wording and like it worked perfectly in my opinion. So once I get the homepage ready to go, that made it super helpful to me. Also, I totally realized that I might have missed a part where I want to talk about the About Us part. This is just a very simple page right here. It's literally just telling like Jasper's story right here. And I just like use a lot of like the description that like you gave us in the case so people can get like a good understanding of who Jasper is and what he's done, and then driven by your values. Here's like some of this stuff right here. Just a simple little like About Us origin story kind of page, which I thought was really cool too. This was another good favorite part of mine. It was very simple, and I kind of like the way it looks right here. It really adds a lot more character to this project rather than making it seem as fictional. Whenever I added this whole fake background story to this guy, which I think is awesome. And then the last but not least, how would I like describe this project to like recruiters and potential employers whenever I'm seeking like a job or an internship? Definitely one of the things that I want to talk about the most is like using like AWS instances. Like this is something that if I looked at this page at the start of the semester, I would have probably cried, honestly. Like this is really like overwhelming to look at. But then now that like we've worked with it so much and done all these labs and modules and stuff, I feel so much more comfortable like going through this, and I can actually maybe explain like how I was able to use an Amazon Web Service instance to host a WordPress website, and then I was able to go into WordPress and use a variety of plugins and tools. So I was actually able to make a very interactive website and an interactive guided user interface that is actually functional to where people can not only like see services and find out more information about a company, but they can even schedule appointments and pay for it, which I think is just awesome. It's just such like a complete project that I'm able to talk about now. But the part that I would talk about the most is definitely this right here, and then like the connection portion where I had to come in here and actually do some of the coding right here. And then unfortunately, I know I can only like open up my website whenever the instance is running, and whenever I terminate it, unfortunately, this is all going to be gone forever. But luckily, I still have this video, so I can maybe show them this too, which I think is wonderful. But overall, this project, like I was really like not looking forward to it whenever I started, and then now that I'm done with it and like I'm able to just look at how awesome everything turned out, and like it really showed me how easy WordPress is as a whole, but also just like how far I've come this semester, which is really awesome. So I'm pretty thankful for this project. I feel like I've learned quite a lot, and this is something I'm looking forward to talking about with all my friends and showing them this video right here. So I appreciate you for making me do this, but it actually ended up being great. Yeah, this is my website, and that was hopefully all the requirements right there. Hopefully I didn't miss nothing, but hope you liked it. If you have any questions too, I would love to help you answer those. But yeah, this is a complete tour of my website, and thank you for this opportunity right here. Hope you have a good one, Dr. Go Million.